Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk, and I have Adil back with us today. How are you, Adil?
It's really good. Uh,
Good.
Stayed energized, yeah. Had good rest.
Wow, I'm
Did
surprised you're energized considering the abysmal performances of United.
told you United don't dictate my life, man. I'm not a diehard like you.
Oh man, no, I'm a diehard football fan. That's why I am. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I'm a
If you could
diehard
see
football
as soon
fan.
as I'd get moody as soon as
No, no,
the
I'm
smoke.
not moody, man. Probably when I was playing football, yeah, I used to get moody when I used to lose, but yeah, not with the Premier League, no. Uh, yeah, but yeah, let's get going. I mean, we had the battle of top two at Anfield, Liverpool versus Arsenal. Whoever wins goes top for Christmas. What did you make of the game? Because I thought it was. I mean, it was a brilliant game, wasn't it? End to
Well,
end stuff at points.
well, whoever wins goes top, and
It's
if
a
they
draw.
Arsenal go top. So
It was a draw.
yeah. So yeah, amazing game. I thought the first 25 minutes that Arsenal started the game with really showed their intent, really showed their credentials. Uh, they were playing so brave, so sharp, so quick, and really dominate the first opening of that first half. I thought in majority of that first half it was Arsenal really. The
Mm.
goal kind of came, you know, it's not like Liverpool having consistent pressure. It just came from poor defending. But um, certainly Salah did look the most liveliest of all the Liverpool front three. Um, so Gakpo was non-existent in the game. As a fact, same with Diaz, which kind of showed the difference between Arsenal and Liverpool in the first half. I thought Arsenal's front three were electric, with
Mm.
Havertz also joining, but Martinelli was absolutely fantastic that first
Yeah,
half.
yeah, he was.
Playable at times. Even Saka was really stepping up. But Havertz was his best game yet.
But have it. Do you know what I liked? It was because of him. It was allowing Martinelli to do what he was doing because he gave him the space because Havertz was winning that first challenge against Konate, right? And then the ball kept dropping to obviously Martinelli, and he just
I'm
gave so much. And even on the ball, he was finding
pressing.
Martinelli
I
one
mean,
on
the
one.
pressing of Arsenal was fantastic. I mean, they were all over Liverpool. Liverpool couldn't get out, and hence why they resorted to, and they were keeping Trent. I wanted to see if they were going to do the experiment Trent inside. They largely kept him on the outside, and then realized that they can't get the ball out of play.
Mm.
They can't get the ball out, and so then they ended up having to shift him slightly more central to kind of get an out ball into Salah for the equalizer. But they're really struggling to play out, and definitely Arsenal were the better team in the first half, and likewise I would say second half Liverpool shaded it and had the better chances.
But like, see
I think
that goal. I mean, I said it. There was warnings, couple of warning signs before even the goal came, where Trent was hitting the ball down the line, and Zinchenko just looked so shaky. I was like, oh, you know what, this guy's gonna get ripped again. And that's what happened. He got that was so poor the defending.
I think
Because
if you
Salah
look at
didn't do much. If you look at it, if you really look at it, he just shifted the ball to the left hand side and went past him like he wasn't there.
yeah, but like I said, you could see it that Zinchenko didn't have the self belief to thingy didn't have the self belief to defend against Salah. So
I
you
was,
can just see
I was
that.
waiting for him to cry.
No, but I just the thing is the players who have done well against Salah have been players that have gone close physical with him, going to the physical before the first touch.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you let Salah get that first touch and he
gone.
squared you're done.
Yeah.
There have been recently over the last few. I have seen quite a few players do well against Salah,
Yeah, but that's why Arteta opts for on those games for Tomiyasu, right? Because
Yeah,
Tomiyasu goes first on that initial like header or the long ball. So
yeah. And Zinchenko is, you can just tell he doesn't want to defend. He wants to be a midfielder. Say to give him credit, I actually thought he had a good second half when he kept coming in, and he was helping them beat the press and try and get a bit of control back because Liverpool started the second half quite strong,
mm,
and yeah, the difference was the work of the midfielders. I mean the Liverpool midfield showed up second half. They actually started to press high, win tackles, and that's when they started to get a foothold into the game and build a lot of pressure.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, it's strange to say this, but it's just not the Liverpool that we're used to seeing. They're not the attacking isn't as fluid as we're used to seeing. I mean, Luis Diaz was not a factor in the game.
no, no.
Um,
But do you think there's a problem with the front three? Because I don't think it's fully. I don't think they're fully flowing or fully fluid. As much as obviously we've seen, obviously them blowing the teams away. It just seems like there's something missing between the three players.
It's what I've said all season. Their attack always looks better once they make those subs. Once the Elliots and all of them come on, and maybe
Yeah,
Salah goes slightly more, so that's when, in general, their attack has clicked. Um, it's not working with the Gakpos and the Nunes. It's not working. They're not,
mm,
they're
mm.
not they're not the same caliber. And you can tell the intelligence just ain't there. Luis Diaz, I think, is maybe just a bit off form, you know,
I think he's obviously mentally struggling
and
probably
and,
to
and, and
find
now
his
he might
game.
be injured, so
Yeah, what happened?
but yeah, so yeah, I just think that even Gravenberch when he comes on, he doesn't really look that good to me. I don't know, and I get quite a lot of Liverpool supporters talking about Endo, but he seems a bit reckless and overpowered a lot of times. I mean, yesterday I thought quite a few times uh, he was in the best position to intercept the ball,
Yeah, the guy just knocked the ball past
and
him and
then
went.
yeah, one little shoulder and that's it. He lost the ball, and
Yeah,
he's one of those. There's times where he plays well, where he intercepts reads, drives the attack, but there's times where he's nowhere where he should be. I think he gambles a bit too much. So he's an okay signing, but it was strange saying that because Liverpool had the second half, they drew, it's an exciting game, and you just
yeah.
see all the problems, and you think they're doing amazing just to be 1 point off top.
They're still up there. They're still
Because
up there. Um, do you think Arsenal will be pleased with that point?
um, based on the first half, they might feel like they should have done better. But if you look at the decisions, I mean, Odegaard, that handball.
Mm.
The only reason I didn't mind it is because then at least they're staying consistent. Because there's been a few during the season. I think one against United, one against Chelsea. I think
There's
where
there's a there's a Villa one that they that one was even more certain penalty, but that
yeah.
was given.
So there's been a few where they haven't given those as penalties. So in that sense, it's consistent. Even though all of them, I think they are penalties.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But that whole rule itself is very confusing, and
But
I
they've
think that's
confused it because last season it was just clear cut. If it's away from the body, they're going to give a penalty.
it's
And
penalty.
everyone agreed with that. No one's really complaining about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Some reason they've brought subjectivity back into it. So I don't know what the benefit to that is. Uh,
Mm.
but obviously they have, and that's the problem. Just just trying to think.
Typical of the PGMO or the
Yeah, I think the
USA.
problem is they want to actually referee the game fully, and you can see that every time they get involved unnecessary. Like this new thing about you can get the ball and get yellow carded or red carded, um, because of the force in which you're going to tackle. But what I don't get is, hold on a minute, how can you punish a player who gets a touch on the ball and then there's a follow through?
Yeah, yeah.
the other players also doing the exact same action, exact same force, rushing to that ball. It's not like the player is standing and someone's gone
Yeah, yeah.
sliding in. They're both sliding in. You're gonna punish the guy who gets to the ball first. How
Oh,
can
we've seen that. We've seen that. We've seen
yeah,
that happen.
obviously with the Bowley red card for
Yeah.
second year, it's comical now. It's getting ridiculous the decisions. Yet there's clear cut late challenges that don't even warrant a free kick, like the ones from Romero and things.
But this is my problem is, yeah. It seems like they're picking and choosing. They give some yellow cards where you're like it's ridiculous to even give a yellow card because there's clear intention to get the ball and it was just slightly late or it touches over the person's leg or something and they give banding out yellow card. And then there's clear ones where the guy goes through the player or pulling the guy back from going through in a counter attack and no yellow cards given. So
Yeah,
and
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 they'll
and,
even
and literally the referee will book someone like 5 minutes earlier for a same incident, but that person will get booked.
but if you look at the last few weeks, the amount of tackles were studied, the player has been studied or studs challenge onto the top of the ankles. Earlier on in the season, they're giving yellows and reds for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Now they're not giving anything, not even free kicks half the time. I just think it's strange.
I just love how all the media pundits and everyone's gone fully quiet because obviously full support for the refereeing association because they're probably in the pay packet as well, isn't it?
Well,
Um,
I think it's more just because of that's the we spoke about that before. That's the Arteta problem. Ever since Arteta slaughtered the referees with his embarrassing line, everyone's
disgrace,
under pressure.
disgrace.
Yeah, but everyone's under pressure not to start on the refs.
That's
So
just a joke. That's just a joke. It's a complete joke because the reason why they're not doing it because they don't want to come across as hypocritical.
mm. Yeah, and they don't want the backlash of if everyone starts on the referees, especially on social media, then it looks like the pundits and are protecting the referees, and they've gone into that victim mode since Arteta's attack, where you have to preserve the referees and look after the referees. And you can see it. They don't call out hardly any of the mistakes, even though probably since Arteta's rant, the mistakes have gotten worse.
Yeah.
Every week, there's 4 or 5 ridiculous decisions where you just think, how on earth are they making that decision? It doesn't even remotely make any sense.
No, no.
How they've come to that decision.
Oh, it's just a complete joke. But in terms of obviously at the title race, what do you make of it? I mean, what do you make what's your analysis of them so far? Because obviously, both Liverpool and Arsenal are up there alongside Aston Villa, who's joined on point with Liverpool, and obviously Man City got a game in hand now because they've been away at World Championship, which they won. So congratulations to them. Yeah, what do you make of it? 17, 18 games into.
It just, to me, it just seems and shows and looks like it's Arsenal's to lose. When I look at all the teams, they're the teams that are playing with a mental edge, a focus, um, a mentality that is higher than everyone else. And you always get that feeling with the teams that are looking to win the championship. You always get that feeling with City that they've always got another gear to go to. They're always
Yeah.
playing a bit more of an edge. And you definitely see that with this Arsenal team that you don't see with any of the others. And, they went to Anfield, Cauldron, Liverpool on form, really amped up atmosphere. And that first 25 minutes was a masterclass. It was an absolute masterclass. I mean, they're stepping up and they're showing a level that is very impressive for me. And I think they're the team to beat. They seem to have a different edge,
Yeah.
determination than the
I, I,
other.
th- I think the key thing is obviously this being earlier on the season, a point looks much better than probably it would do if it was like towards the end of the season, where it might become like where it's like a must win. Does that make sense? Like if it was towards the end of the season, it would be.
at the end of the day, there's certain fixtures no one expects to win. No one expects a win at Man City or Liverpool. Well, any team who's confident of that, that's ridiculous. That's dismissing the quality of those teams and how powerful they are at home.
Yeah.
So to get a draw is a really positive result for Arsenal. And the manner in which they did it, I think, will give them more confidence because they went toe to toe. They weren't afraid. They didn't allow Liverpool to suffocate them, bully them, fall into the washing machine, as Arteta said. And at times they looked a better team. When they played their football, they looked like they could have carved out opportunity. I thought Konate had a really strong game.
It did. It did.
A lot of key blocks, a lot of key last minute tackles.
That's the second time, second time because last season when we played him towards the end of the season, again he was immense. I thought personally, and again yesterday he was very good in reading the danger that Trent's gonna get done, and he got quite close to him early enough so that once Martinelli, say for instance, got past him, he was close enough to make that tackle straight away and didn't allow Martinelli to run at him or anything.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I thought he was very good. I certainly thought Rice again was absolutely standout.
Oh, have you seen that picture? The picture going around on social media, basically when all the Liverpool attack line, the last chance Trent hits the crossbar, and Declan Rice is there.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
I don't know if you've seen Game of
unlucky.
Thrones. If you've seen Game of Thrones, basically Jon Snow stands up with the sword, yeah, and obviously you got all the army in front of him, yeah. So there's a meme, yeah. So it shows the Liverpool attack, and underneath it's got that Jon Snow with the sword and the Arsenal logo, and then all the Liverpool players at the back. It's funny.
I think they should have put something on the grass there. Because really, the chance was messed up because of the bubble.
Do you reckon it was a poor ball from Salah? Maybe, and he should have taken one
It
more.
was. It was in the sense that it's bubbling, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it just bubbled out higher than it was bubbling before that up until the shot. But at the Premiership level, you expect that to finish, and that's for the ball to kind of spin back or slow down. You kind of got to give it that slight bubble at the beginning. So
yeah,
I get what Salah was trying to do.
There's things being said that apparently they've overwatered one of the sides for that match. So that's why apparently Liverpool are going long initially. That's what's being said in social media, but yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, well, teams do stuff like that all the time, according to what suits them. That's the home team's prerogative. Like I said, that and the penalty, when you think about those two, Liverpool might feel hard done by.
Yeah.
But definitely, I thought Arsenal really stood up well. It was a good match, and it feels like they've got a bit between the teeth.
I just can't wait for Timber to come back so we can get rid of Zinchenko.
Another one is Saliba. I thought Saliba was amazing yesterday.
He's just too calm. He's just too calm, man.
I think he mastered the art of body checking the player at the right time and then tackling. So he always unbalances you and then looks like such a clean and easy tackle. But it's because his body checked you beforehand and thrown you off guard.
It's smart. It's smart the way he does it.
Yeah. But he's very good at it, and But I was watching the game, all this, everyone keeps going on about Van Dijk, the best Premiership defender. I don't see it. I just don't see it. Even
I personally don't agree.
In yesterday's game, he was hiding a lot of the times. It's Konate.
Konate was the better defender out of the two yesterday.
But even on Van Dijk's side, Konate pulled out a couple of blocks, came out.
Yeah.
Van Dijk just does not just not as mobile, does not move from that side, doesn't do as much. I'm sure the leadership there is there. You still see him organizing, chatting, but yeah, he spent more time just moaning at the ref than actually defending. He's lucky Konate was on form. He's
Yeah,
really lucky
yeah.
Konate was on form.
But yeah, I mean, to end with, I mean, you just have to look at the reaction of both the managers. Like at the end of the game, they would both like, "Wow, wow." That
What
that sums it up. What an intense game it was, and both kind of understand that, you know what, that was actually a top level game.
what a difference a season makes, eh?
Yeah.
From from battling on the Anfield touchline there to being friends. It's a sign of respect, and it? They respect each other's
Yeah,
ability.
no, but they also know, right? It's gonna get heated at times, and it's part and parcel of, being a manager. You know you're gonna try defending your team no matter what, just like Klopp would do, or Arteta would do. It's like you, right? When the battle used to get going on the sideline, you used to get feisty, and then you used to shout at me. I'm not gonna use the words, but
Some players you gotta get the battle out of them, man. They don't have it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's not bring out the stories, innit? Let's not bring out the stories of how we won the leagues, yeah. Yeah. I still that'll never go from my head, man. That's funny. That's funny winning that league. Um, but let's move on. Let's move on. I think we should. You know what? We should one day do a podcast, and we should actually discuss like what used to happen and your crazy tactics that you used to do. Leave two men at the back and everyone else attacking. Me and Junaid at the back, and everyone attack. Don't worry about defending.
I think people are more interested in the Premiership than the grassroots football days.
Oh man, definitely, definitely. Let's move on. Let's move on to Manchester United.
Yeah,
West Ham versus Manchester United. I
definitely
mean,
need to take a deep breath for that one. You
I
definitely.
had to. I had to. I mean, I don't. Do you know what? I can't find words to describe you guys because one week you're like, all right, it seems like some hope, and then you go back to like losing
No,
it.
again, you have to watch the game and not just look at the result.
No, 100% agree.
For,
Agree.
for 70 minutes of that game, West Ham were nowhere. They done
They
nothing.
were.
They were terrible. To say to even if it stayed 0-0, I would have absolutely gunned West Ham.
Mm,
Like, how do you perform like that at home? And then they, give credit where credit's due. He does, Moyes does a tactical switch, which they regularly do. This
mm.
is the thing where I have a problem with Ten Hag and United.
But before we
They
get to that,
regularly do that switch, and
yeah.
that's what changed the game.
Yeah, before we get to that, I mean, first half, I mean, United had two really good chances, and um,
Yeah, and they
Garnacho
had
messed them
many
up.
other really good half chances that
Yeah, yeah, he messed up
probably
the touch for
they
it.
don't have the killer instinct for. So they played really well that first half. They controlled it. They had chances. Um, you know, I thought Shaw was playing really well. He's in the, had the battle with Kudus, but then was also a big attacking threat. Um, so yeah, I was happy with the game, but you could see Hoyland had lost his confidence. He doesn't believe he can score. He makes some runs, blind runs, where he loses sight of the ball, which is
Mm,
like terrible for a striker. I mean, you always have to make your run on an angle where you can see the ball being played into you. And then you got Anthony who just always makes the wrong passes. But they still played well. They still dominated the game. They
do
still
you know? The thing is like going into halftime. I don't know about you, but I was watching again. I was thinking, you know what? Surely West Ham cannot continue to be this bad. And surely they must give a bit more in the second half. Now
and
obviously,
but they were actually worse in the second
yeah,
half.
but but then obviously, then
Up
it brings
until that change,
brings to my point. That's what I was gonna get to.
up
Is
until that change, like I was shocked. Like even United became more dominant at the start of the second half.
mm,
Probably lacked a bit, had a bit less fizz and a bit more verve about it. But I was thinking, you could see the game being played out. You could see the over attack. You could see Ten Hag giving instructions to the midfielders, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, he's gonna fall in for a trap. And this is before any of the changes happen.
Yeah.
5 minutes before the goal, they get 2 or 3 times. It's the first 2 or 3 times West Ham get a bit of possession. You can tell the change has happened. There's 2 opportunities where it was basically if the execution was right,
United are in trouble.
Douglas or Bowen were both free, and you could see, but at no point did they recognize the change. Did they adjust? If anything, they played into it even more by pushing the midfielders even more forward. So this is the problem United have because of the lack of clinical, killer instinct from the front three. He ends up relying on pushing McTominay up so much.
Yeah.
Pushing, Fernandez more and more higher to get because he knows them two can finish chances better than currently their front three. So he ends up gambling by trying to encourage them to break into the box more. And then what happens is Mainu is completely isolated in midfield, exactly what we saw at the start of the season, where he's trying to cover the lack of
attacking deficiencies by pushing players forward. Yeah.
By pushing midfielders, but you lose control of the game. You start getting gaps in midfield, and you're forgetting the quality of Paqueta. He's he's starter for the Brazil team for a reason.
I mean, he's their number 10. Brazil's number 10.
Everyone goes on like he failed at AC Milan. No, he didn't. He had 2 amazing seasons at AC Milan, where he was the leader, he was everything, and then a change of manager happened, and then he left. So it's not like he was a failure in Italy. He wasn't. He wasn't a failure. He was a superstar there, and obviously he was very good at Lyon. But we're talking about a player that everyone knows is the threat, is the guy.
But I think this year he's really stepped up even more, and he's kind of fitted into the Moyes system more than last year. I think he's really showing his ability now this year.
I think his work ethic and everything. He obviously, I think winning the Conference League, it makes a difference. I mean, you can tell the players buy into the idea a lot more. When a manager is successful, you buy into it. So you could see at the start of the last season, he was lazy. He wasn't getting back. He wasn't putting.
No.
He's doing what Rashford does. Basically, as soon as it's on him, he doesn't do the press properly. He does it reactive. He doesn't track back when he loses the ball. They had that problem, and then he started to fix it. And I think Moyes understands how to use him more. He uses him a lot better rather than forcing him to play in a certain position to fit the system. He's adapted the system to fit him. But that's what yesterday proved.
Yeah, 100%. But if you look at it, like even yesterday, it actually echoes your point, because if you look at before the goal even happened, there's a point where United in a break, and guess who comes and gets the block? It was Paqueta.
Yeah, and he ran the back, he chased back a lot. I mean, he's always been good on the press, but he was doing that fake type of press that Rashford does. Is the ball is going to get passed, you just sprint just to pretend you're not actually affecting the game or pressing or doing anything. So, so he's changed. I mean, that's good man management. I think obviously he's got the carrot of he knows Pep and Man City really want him. He's got that carrot dangling over him. I think once his probe into whatever it is, it was betting or something. I can't remember what
he has some problems.
Oh, his transfer, some probe that probably put City off. Once that gets cleared, I think it's inevitable that City will definitely go for him. You can see that's probably one that's already been tapped and agreed behind the scenes, and it's a matter of time. And I think this summer, West Ham will struggle to keep him. I think he is still seen as the guy to take De Bruyne's place in Pep's eyes. And it's a game of tactics, and Ten Hag fell short again. And a lot of that is because of his desperation to get a goal. He ends up sacrificing the balance of the team. But you can't do that. In this Premiership, every team is able to buy decent players.
Yeah.
players can punish you. And that's what's happened. And it wasn't that Paqueta just became a false nine like the pundits say. No, it was he played in the 10. But when he pressed, they pressed as a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
They moved Ward Prowse onto the left wing, and Kudus became the focal point. And the thing was, Bowen struggled when he was up front. I mean, he couldn't win anything against Evans or Kimbala. So, that change made a difference. Kudus made a huge difference going.
Even Kudus's goal was really good goal. He takes it through the guy, and then a good finish.
And it shows that technique. But how many guys on their weaker foot will swing at it? He did. He actually turned his hip into a shot, full technique. That's what generates the power. And that's what you see with Kudus. All of his goals, he generates more power than anyone realizes, is because he really has good technique. He always has his hip behind the shot, his whole body behind the shot, and it's what generates the power. So it doesn't always look like a clean hit, but it beats the keepers for pace.
He seems like he's settling in now and he's finding his feet and form.
Well, again, I would say that's good management from Moyes, because he's put him into the positions that he was actually playing in
Ajax.
Before they're playing him like the third midfielder a lot, like the one who. But now they've moved him out to the right wing or up front. That's the two main rotations he was doing last year. So I think definitely, again, good management. And West Ham, I can't say they were the better team, but they deserved the win because they had the players who still believed in in what the manager was trying to get them to do, and they stuck to it. And ultimately, they had the creativity that United never had. But again, it was a lot easier because United started leaving gaps and getting tired, and you can't do that with Paqueta.
Yeah. Well, I mean, where does it? I mean, we spoke about West Ham. I think some of the fans are disgruntled with obviously David Moyes, and there's a mixture of messages coming out from West Ham fans, but some want him out, some want him in. But where does it leave Man United? I mean, another loss on 28 points. Getting near to Chelsea now.
Well, Chelsea are getting near to United, yeah. I think it's the same thing, isn't it? They're on a project, isn't it? Again, they've made signings. Ultimately, all of Ten Hag's problems come down to the signings, because those signings are projects. They're not, but you've paid money for finished article. So that's where the problem is. Højlund now looks like there's, as he's got a lot of good abilities. It doesn't fit well with this United team and the players, because if he had a bit of strength and pace around him, you could see the link up play, the quick 1-2s, it works. And when Rashford was playing on the left, it looked always more threatening, because even though Rashford would never pass it back, at least he's looking for a link up first and foremost. With Garnacho and Anthony. They're just playing for the Hollywood pass or to have the shot themselves. They're not playing for the striker. So it's just a bad combination at the moment. And they're just building from ground zero, basically. Even you look at all the games they played, that was probably the one game where they had a lot of control in a match. I can't remember
the last time they had that.
Yeah. So you can't completely gun them because they lost. You can see there is improvement there, but while the confidence is down, I mean, you're always going to worry how much more patience are they going to have. Why did they even get to a situation where they have to start from ground zero in the second year?
Well, I mean,
a lot of it is mismanagement.
Yeah, Ratcliffe is coming in. Do you think that might impact and put a bit more pressure on United and
the thing is, I mean,
because they got Aston Villa next, so
I'm not a massive fan of the Ineos. Like I followed them for years because I'm into all sports. So quite a few of the other sports that I watched, they're involved in.
Cycling, isn't it?
Yeah,
With
with to go Team Sky
yeah,
or the America's Cup, the sailing, whatever they've gone into, they've not won anything.
no,
They have not won anything. Yeah, I know they make things more efficient. They build for long term. They have that. They invest in young players, but that's not United.
no,
They're not RB Leipzig. If you want to be, efficient, profitable, a stepping stone, then buy a club that's about that. Buy Brighton. Do you get it? Buy Wolves. Buy those stepping stone clubs. But don't get United and try and bring that identity and philosophy to United. It's not what. So there's one problem here. They may be efficient. They might have a clear identity of what they want to be, which is
yeah,
United. And rightly, Ten Hag might get more scrutiny on the players he wants to go for, which is probably a right thing. We're the only club that don't have, well, of all the
yeah,
big
sporting
teams, they don't
director,
have a
yeah,
director of football. So you know, there's one common sense thing missing at United. Get a director of football. Every other top club that's successful has one.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, they might improve the processes, but in terms of winning, they don't. I don't think they know what it takes to win. Everyone talks about Des Bransford and all that, but at the end of the day, they were ahead of their time when they went for the marginal gains. Now that everyone else is doing marginal gains, they are all doing it better than Ineos or James
yeah.
Bransford. Every
But
single
I
one.
mean,
You look
do,
at every sport that they're involved in, everyone is using technology and knowledge and information better than they are. So what
yeah,
what hope do I have? Not much. I don't think
no, no.
that's as
But
good as
is there any cause for concern? Obviously, they got Villa next and then Nottingham Forest away. Um, or do you think United can get back against Villa?
yeah, I mean they still got good players, they still got match winners, they still look, they lost the match in a couple of moments. They didn't lose it through being outplayed.
Mm.
Probably that deflates you more because it's down to details that they lost the game, not because they were a bad team. And it's not like West Ham are a terrible team. West Ham are a good team. They do well in Europe. They're in, they're challenging for that European places again. They've consistently done. They give teams a hard time. They're not.
They do, they do.
It's, to dominate them doesn't mean suddenly you're completely on the wrong track. But they do need to get the details right, and they do need to sprighten up their attack to take pressure off when those lapses of concentration happen, when they go gun ho, and again he makes the subs after the goals are conceded, but before the goal you can see 4 or 5 times Paqueta's free. There's one where I think from a throw he's completely free, and he does a first time turn and half volley in behind, blind look half volley,
Yeah, yeah.
where he overhits it into the keeper. But both Bowen and Kudus were ready for the ball over the top. And there's enough indication there of, okay, you need to like not push
Start
but
picking him
dominate
up.
forward
Yeah,
now, and you need to actually go back to the organized football because you're gonna get caught out. And they didn't respect West Ham's threat, and ultimately they gave a game away. West Ham didn't have to do much to end up winning it at the end.
yeah. I mean, kudos to what's his name? Paqueta. I think that's 5 assists in 2 games. So
Yeah, and I think it's 9 or 10 or 11 for the
all
season.
over, yeah, overall. So
So,
yeah, smashing form, smashing form. He's been their best player this season, I would say. Really, really impressive.
I mean, I think they've had few. They've got a few players really
Yeah,
making it work. Even Alvarez
Alvarez been really
held
good,
out
man.
Mavropanos quite a few times yesterday.
Yeah,
Not convinced by Mavropanos, that's for sure. That's a
yeah.
couple of games I've seen
So
him
that's
make.
it. That's it. That was a really good buy from West Ham because he gave us about a couple of millions on the add-ons.
On the add-ons, yeah. Uh, you need it, don't you? So
If any counts.
I think nah. I think Alvarez has been really good. I think of his word pass.
Ward-Prowse and but even Bowen changed the position and stuff. He's been good as well. He's been getting loads of goals for them.
Again, it just shows good management. He's showing creativity because they didn't replace Kamaka. Antonio's injured, so they've it shows good management that
Yeah,
these switches that he's doing, keep playing the players that are in form rather than can't remember who Danny Ings who's out of
Danny
form.
Ings, yeah.
Uh, and that's the thing, innit? I remember even saying it when Danny Ings moved. Like, why would you leave Villa when you're gonna have a similar position at West
Yeah,
Ham?
I don't think
Playing less.
I don't think Villa wanted him, so he should have gone somewhere else rather than there.
That time, Emery moved him up because he's complaining about not starting. He
Yeah,
actually wanted to compete and share the time with with Watkins.
yeah,
But obviously Emery was very clear Watkins is number one.
yeah.
He didn't like that, and now he's playing for a club that's not challenging for anything, and doesn't even give him any minutes when they got no striker.
No, no. Let's move on. Let's move on to Luton Town. I mean, another scalp, getting beating Newcastle 1-0. And a brilliant performance.
Yeah, totally deserved. Um,
You know,
they had
I had them beating Newcastle. You know,
so did
I
I.
got my prediction correct, so I was like very happy.
So did I. I had them beating Newcastle. Newcastle just seemed like their team running on empty. And
Thank
I
yeah,
know second half they got but look they're winning games through high press and pressure. Um, you know, you're not gonna get that against a team that plays a bit more direct. And even though they didn't do it all the time, they mix it up enough. They're comfortable enough to go into midfield, just chip the ball in, or into the strike, chip the ball in, and use Adebayo or
yeah.
the Brown, who's got quite a bit of a leap. Their team, they're not looking to have possession. They don't mind defending and building off what you give them. So the press it doesn't become as significant because they're not looking to play. So yeah,
But
they
physically, I don't know about you, but physically, I thought Luton were dealing with them. Even though I know they're low on gas, but physically, Luton were giving it to them because there's not many teams that give it to Newcastle. But Luton, boy, every single one of those Newcastle players felt it because every tackle was first to the ball or the man, bam, bam, like just intense. Whether it's Mengi or Osho, whoever you want to name it, they were in. And Barkley's been superb recently since coming back from injury.
yeah, I mean, he's playing that good. Like it won't happen, but you would say he's playing better than I've ever seen it. It's England type of like he's playing that good. He's
Yeah.
dominating
It
midfield.
reminds me of the Everton days when he first broke in.
Yeah,
That
and
time.
yeah, he's playing really good. But that's what Rob Edwards did even for his screen when he was there. Every player is physically, 6 foot strong, big, tackles, disciplined tactically. So he's doing that's his. He's following his what works for him. And yeah, they were definitely the more superior team. I thought they were the more composed team. Um, yeah, Newcastle were poor. Even the second half, they were getting joy through Trippier and that the Newcastle's right. They were getting a bit of
Yeah,
joy
but
there.
I can't remember too many real clear cut opportunities. I would say Luton had more clear cut opportunities with
Yes,
Barclays
Luton
and
still had the clear
yeah,
cut opportunities. Yeah, I mean there were a couple, but they're not clear cut. They're basically around the front post, which Kaminsky had, or
yeah,
a
yeah,
defender blocked. But yeah, I mean, but where's they don't really have that player to create, and they have Guimaraes. He missed a really good chance from a short corner.
Oh yes, they did.
Um,
Yeah,
that was it really. But yeah, you're right. I thought Luton learned from their mistakes from against Bournemouth and Arsenal, and still went for the second goal, which is
yeah.
something they didn't do
Previously.
in the previously. So yeah, a well-deserved win.
Definitely agree. Much needed because we need to win our home games. You know, if we want to have the chance of staying up, we need to make sure that we win these games, especially at home.
I
And
think it's
obviously,
important for the league, though. It's important that there's, those bottom half teams have the threat of relegation, they have the pressure of that, or else the league becomes very boring. You'll have a lot of teams that have nothing to play for, and they'll play like that.
yeah,
Now, with both Burnley winning as well, and now Sheffield United having Wilder back
Wilder,
there,
yeah.
they look like they're going to be picking up points. It's not a foregone conclusion. Teams like Crystal Palace, Wolves.
Well, Crystal
But
Palace, Everton, and Nottingham Forest are right in there now.
yeah, I mean Everton is only because of the
10
deduction.
points. Yeah,
They'd be ninth in the table if it was for deduction. So,
yeah, yeah.
or tenth now maybe. But
They would be there. They would be 10th. They would be 10th if
so
after
so
six.
they wouldn't be anywhere near it. But I don't think Everton. Like I said at the time, I just seen them play this season. They're one of the better teams in the league.
They've been very impressive. My credit
Yeah,
goes to
I
also
mean,
Sean Dyche
I
because
don't. Maybe we'll get a chance to speak about it. But they certainly outplayed Tottenham yesterday.
yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, we'll get to that game.
so it's
But
good for the league. Definitely good for the league that these bottom three are picking up points
mm,
and
mm,
and forcing Nottingham Forest and these clubs to look over their shoulder.
I mean the big game coming up this week, obviously after on Boxing Day because you got Sheffield United versus Luton Town,
Yeah, I think that's key
6 pointer.
because yeah, it's going to be a much harder game now with Wilder. There, you can see they're a lot more tactically astute, and they've got some good players. I think Archer's a very good striker. Hamer's a very good playmaker. So yeah,
Gustavo Hammer.
sorry,
Gustavo Hammer.
yeah,
Or Hamer, however you want to pronounce it.
Hamer. Yeah, well, all I know is yeah, he certainly had was it was a Matty Cash sliding all the way to the.
Oh,
I mean that was a dirty turn on the byline for their goal on Thursday. Can't remember. I think it was Matty Cash. Whoever, no, it was McGinn.
McGinn.
But
Okay, good.
crashing into the board, trying to block that. So yeah,
Sold
that,
him. But you bring perfectly onto our next team because we are going to discuss Villa versus Sheffield. So
yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
what do you make of the 1-1? Because they had the opportunity because they played before Arsenal and
it,
Liverpool
it
to
was
go
a
top of the
strange
table.
game. It was a strange game because um, Aston Villa totally dominated. They had chances, but they weren't playing at the normal way. They weren't playing in their normal tempo. They were being quite composed, and in a way, I was impressed by it that they weren't letting the occasion get to them. But then once you concede, or once few decisions were against them, they lost their heads. Um, and they started to get sloppy and they started to leave gaps and they were more interested in arguing and moaning and there were players that were subpar during the whole game. I mean, I know he got the assist for the equalizer, but David Lewis the whole game was terrible. Kept giving the
Yeah.
ball away. His set
Oh,
pieces,
sorry, Douglas Luiz you're talking about.
Douglas Lewis, his set pieces were all for the front post, didn't beat anyone. Um, and then finally he actually done one decent cross and you see the difference. So yeah, I think yeah, Aston Villa, yeah, strange game. They played composed. They looked tired. Diaby looked leggy. Bailey looked a bit tired. They lacked freshness.
Do you think it's getting to them obviously the amount of games because they're in the Conference League as well,
Yeah,
and obviously they don't have the biggest squad in the Premier League either. So do you think it's catching up on them a bit?
yeah. I think I saw a stat where they're one of the teams to lose the least amount of players in their rotation. They rotate a lot, but it's the same players. So it's like just
Same players start, but they obviously rotate the players during the
yeah.
game.
No, but even with the European games, I think it's only 22 players they've used in the season so
Wow,
far.
wow.
Um, and there's teams that aren't in Europe that have used a lot more. So I think it's the joint lowest out of any team in terms of players used. So, and that's a team in Europe. So yeah, they are looking tired. They are looking leggy, but they don't. I think the draw is just as important more than anything because to lose, fine, you're going on this 13 game winning run, but you don't want to lose it. They're
No.
still unbeaten. It still keeps that momentum, and they've got tough Christmas period matches playing all the big teams. I think so. That's going to be interesting to really see where they're at. But I do think they're short. If Watkins ain't firing or Diaby ain't firing, they don't have that creativity.
Mm. Do you think they got what it takes to maybe, I don't know, I don't probably I don't think they'll challenge for the title, but do you think they got what it takes to challenge for a Champions League spot or
Yeah, I mean, at the moment they clearly do because there's so many teams around them that are struggling.
yeah,
So and they're more consistent, but obviously the consistency you want that consistency toward the end of the season. So I do think they will drop off. I do think they will come back. I do think other teams may pick up and start getting into a rhythm. It's going to be close, but they certainly given them a better chance by creating a big buffer
yeah,
before
100%
I don't know.
before the slump.
Yeah, I mean, really, there ain't really much of a threat other than the only team below them that you think could really go. Because obviously, City, Tottenham, they're going to be there all the way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Newcastle, Man United.
yeah, I'm just not convinced by either team, to say the truth.
Okay.
I'm
Mm.
not convinced, but they're the two teams that might fix up and go around. I just don't see both teams the type of teams that can go on a run.
No, because you know the reason why I say Newcastle more so because they're out of Champions League. Same with Man United, so that might give them a bit more fresh leg towards after January, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a
Mm.
big gap.
Yeah.
The Aston Villa look like
Well, Aston Villa are 10 point clear of Newcastle and
you
11 of
got
United.
you got to remember it's the Conference League they're in, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
the Europa, so you can take more risks with your lineups there. So let's see.
Yeah. Well, it leaves it interesting. are you surprised there's not enough pressure on Eddie Howe?
No, no, because I think they're ahead of schedule in everything they've done. They're ahead of
Okay.
schedule. I think they will be by the end of the season because you can tell that there is a difference in levels there. You can see in it tactically he is very basic.
Yeah. Yeah.
The subs are always like for like. You never feel like he's making a difference. And I don't know. That's maybe it's just me, but when your number two is, most people think your number two is the number one. I just think that's a weakness to get it. Like,
But do you know what's funny?
can't
That
tell who's
reminds
the manager,
that,
Tyndall or Howe half the time.
yeah, that reminds me like there was a big hoo-ha about not having two people in the area and stuff. But every game I watch of Newcastle, they're both on there, but they never get spoken about or warned or yellow carded because that was the decision made by the Premier League at the beginning of the season. If there's two of you in the technical area, you'll get booked.
Yeah, it's like we said last week. Even players running up to the referees, you don't see no one getting booked anymore. So
Yeah.
there's certain things that they were doing, they're no longer doing, and that's how it is. Just inconsistency.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I do. What do you make of Steve Cooper being sacked from Nottingham Forest, and obviously them going with Nuno Espirito Santos?
Yeah, I mean, gutted. Can't say I'm a massive
Yeah,
Steve Cooper fan, but you can see it was if they weren't in unison, they weren't. He kept getting different directions of football, and you can tell, maybe the players, not the signing, not the positions. You could tell the positions they were recruiting were the positions that Steve Cooper wanted, but maybe the players and the whole thing just wasn't in sync.
I personally, I think as much as obviously Steve Cooper wanted more players, I think it was the media council because this guy's bound like that because he's done the same thing in I think Turkey or Greece with the
Yeah,
Olympiacos. He just buys people, and I think he has too much influence rather than Steve Cooper, and that's where the problem is. And obviously there's this content with McKenna and Worrell as well. So I think everyone was just building up and. Yeah, it's sad to see him go, but I think you know what, I hope Hodgson goes and he goes to Crystal Palace or somewhere in the Premier League because he's a really good
yeah. I
manager.
mean, if he goes Crystal Palace, that'd be a good place to go to. They may not invest as much, they may not pay as much, but definitely, in Dougie Friedman, they got one of the best director of football
Mm.
there. And yeah, I mean, it was a bit strange watching the performances. They weren't consistent. They didn't. They look like United really, going backwards every year. But it was a season where he could have built something because that there are three teams that it's going to find
Weaker.
it hard to get out. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think they would have got enough points. They would have built on it, but they've gone with Nuno Espirito Santo. I mean, he again, it's not doesn't fit in terms of the club, but he's a good manager. He'll do well. He'll make the defensively solid. He's a defense first manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we saw at Tottenham it didn't work because it's a club that wants to play football a
I think it
certain
was
way.
I think it was the wrong environment for him personally. I think that was
Yeah,
the
but when you look at it on that level, then is Nottingham Forest the right place because
yeah.
they as well are a club. Their heritage is to play and attacking certain brand of football. Um, he's an organizer. He's had success at places where he's allowed to, dictate the style of play and everything. He's had success there.
This
But
might be a
whenever he's gone to a club and he seems to always pick clubs that want to play a certain way, it's failed. It failed at Valencia, it failed at Tottenham, now he's going to Nottingham Forest, where there's a different pressure about the way you play. I don't know, but he's a good manager, so he'll keep them up. He'll do well. He'll make them organized, defensively solid, tactically astute, and for a couple of seasons do okay until he gets sacked because it's attritional, isn't it? It's hard to
yeah.
keep a club progressing. And the other thing is, a lot of his success at Wolves was because of the agent, George Mendes.
Mendes.
They had a ridiculous caliber of players even in the championship. You look at the players George Mendes was given to them in the championship. Ruben Neves was in the championship.
Ruben Neves playing championship, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jota. Don't forget
Yeah.
Jota.
So they had quality players, international players playing championship. So they've always had better players than they should have. So I
100%.
think
Yeah, just talking of that, I mean, Wolves winning 2-1, by the way, last couple of minutes left, and Kunku got his first goal for Chelsea, but yeah, they're losing it. So hey who. Yeah, we'll discuss another day because yeah, Chelsea's another subject. But Adil, thank you for today. For those of you watching, thank you for watching.
we didn't get to speak much about the Tottenham game, but I have to say Everton were lucky and the ridiculous decision.
Yes, to send off
Not send off to disallow
sorry,
the goal, for
this is not
foul.
goal for what's his name?
Andre
Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, but that is the most ridiculous thing. And again, we're gonna highlight it because everyone's afraid to say another really dodgy decision going for Spurs. Inconsistent decision going for Spurs. I don't even know how they ruled that goal out. It was nothing clear and obvious, that's for sure. For them to rule out the unfair referee, and it's not something they've done. So again, when it comes to Tottenham Stadium, I think they just need to suspend anyone who does VAR at Tottenham because whoever it is seems to give something dodgy
Every time. But yeah,
game.
this thing is just not gonna go away. I don't know what the solution is, because you know what, it's just gonna continue.
Well,
There's too
it's
much
starting to get to
inconsistency.
the stage where people are saying is football is better without it, and I'm starting to
Yeah,
agree.
it's me too. Me too. Me too.
Because
We should just leave. We should just leave the things like semi-automated. You know, obviously they've brought that
goal
in.
line, the goal line,
Goal
yeah,
line, semi-automated offside,
yeah,
right? Everything else, leave it to the referee. Done.
yeah. I prefer that because I'll be honest, I don't trust the Premiership. Certainly don't trust all these American owners. Uh, so I just think it's becoming more and more corporate like, and you don't trust the system. It
Yeah.
just always feels like you look when they can get together just to stop clubs from getting into the top four like Newcastle or changing rules mid-season. Uh, it's not about fair game. It's not about it's about keeping the status quo. So
Yeah.
how do you know that pressure ain't going on at top level to make these decisions favor certain clubs?
No, 100%.
So, yeah, just for the authenticity of the league, if they don't get some independent people running it, I don't think, yeah, get rid of it. Don't trust it.
Yeah. Yeah. I neither do I. That's the point I'm getting. It's too inconsistent. 100% agree with you. On that note, thank you, Adil.
Yeah.
Those who are watching, thank you for watching. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oops.